the sun-drenched deserts of Midian. The vast expanse of golden sand stretches as far as the eye can see, with the sun casting a warm golden hue over the landscape. The air is still and the silence is almost palpable, broken only by the occasional whisper of the wind. Amidst this serene yet harsh environment, a lone figure tends his flock. The shepherd moves with a practiced grace, guiding his sheep through the arid terrain, ensuring they find the sparse patches of grass and water. This is Moses, once a prince of Egypt, now a humble shepherd. His attire is simple, a stark contrast to the royal garments he once wore. His hands, once accustomed to holding a scepter, now hold a shepherd's staff. Life has taken a dramatic turn for him. From the opulence of the Egyptian court to the solitude of the desert, Moses' journey has been one of profound transformation. He has known both palaces and exile. The grandeur of Pharaoh's palace, with its towering columns and lavish decorations, is a distant memory. Now the vast empty desert is his home. Yet it is in the silence of the wilderness that God chooses to speak. The stillness of the desert becomes a canvas for divine communication, where the noise of the world fades away and the voice of God can be heard clearly. Even in the most unexpected of circumstances, God is orchestrating his divine plan. The desert, often seen as a place of desolation, becomes a stage for divine intervention and revelation. God often works through the ordinary. The shepherd, the farmer, the fisherman, these are the people through whom God chooses to reveal his plans and purposes. He meets us where we are. In our daily routines, in the mundane tasks of life, God is present, ready to guide, comfort, and inspire. Moses' story reminds us that our present situation doesn't limit God's ability to work in our lives. Whether we are in a palace or a desert, God's power and presence remain constant. The wilderness, a symbol of isolation and testing, becomes fertile ground for God's presence. It is in these moments of solitude and challenge that we often find clarity, purpose, and a deeper connection with the divine. And it is here, in the heart of the desert, that Moses encounters the burning bush. A simple shrub, ablaze yet not consumed, becomes a powerful symbol of God's presence and revelation. As Moses listens to God's voice, he learns that his past, his present, and his future are all part of a greater plan. His journey from prince to shepherd is not a detour, but a preparation for the extraordinary mission that lies ahead. Moses will go on to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, through the Red Sea, and towards the Promised Land. His story is a testament to the power of faith, obedience, and the extraordinary ways in which God can use our lives for his purposes. So, as the sun sets over the desert, casting long shadows and painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, we are reminded that even in the most barren places, there is hope, purpose, and the promise of new beginnings. Moses lived a simple life as a shepherd. He wasn't a king or a warrior, but a humble man tending to his flock. His days were filled with the routine of guiding sheep, ensuring their safety, and leading them to pastures. He tended his father-in-law's flock with dedication and care. Each sheep was known to him, and he took his responsibility seriously, knowing that each life mattered. Day after day, he walked the same paths, familiar with every rock and tree. The landscape was unchanging, a constant backdrop to his daily toil. He performed the same tasks from sunrise to sunset. It seemed utterly ordinary, a life of repetition and simplicity. Yet, in this simplicity, there was a profound sense of purpose. Yet, God's presence can transform the mundane into the miraculous. In the midst of the ordinary, the divine can break through, revealing the extraordinary in the everyday. God often speaks in whispers in the quiet moments when we least expect it. His voice is gentle yet powerful, guiding us in ways we may not immediately recognize. He uses the everyday moments of our lives to reveal his plans. It's in the routine, the mundane, that he often chooses to make his presence known. God's whispers may be found in the quiet moments of reflection when we pause to listen. In these moments, we can hear his guidance and feel his presence. In the challenges we face, his voice can be a source of strength and comfort. He is there, guiding us through the difficulties, helping us to overcome, or even in the monotonous routines of our day, his presence can be felt. The tasks that seem repetitive and dull can be infused with meaning when we recognize his hand in them. He is always present, always speaking, always guiding. In every moment, whether extraordinary or ordinary, God's voice is there, leading us on our journey. While tending his flock, Moses noticed something strange. A bush was on fire, but it was not consumed. The flames danced, but the bush remained untouched. This unusual sight could have easily been dismissed. However, Moses chose to turn aside. Curiosity can be a powerful tool. It can lead us to new discoveries and unexpected blessings. When we approach life with a sense of wonder and a willingness to explore the unknown, we open ourselves to encountering God's presence in new and profound ways. As Moses approached the burning bush, he heard a voice. It was the voice of God. God called to Moses from the midst of the fire. He instructed Moses to remove his sandals. He was standing on holy ground. The ground where God's presence dwells is sacred. God's presence transforms ordinary places into holy encounters. It is a reminder to approach him with humility and reverence. We must recognize that every moment has the potential to become a sacred encounter with the divine. God spoke to Moses from the burning bush. He revealed his name as Yahweh, the I Am, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is the God who keeps his promises. The burning bush was not merely a spectacle. It was a symbol of God's power and presence. God's self-revelation is a gift. It's an invitation to know him more deeply and experience his transformative power in our lives. God's empathy for suffering. In the ancient lands of Egypt, the Israelites toiled under the relentless sun, their spirits crushed by the weight of their burdens. Yet amidst their suffering, there was a divine presence watching over them with a heart full of compassion. God revealed to Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people in Egypt. This revelation was not just a mere observation, it was a profound acknowledgement of their pain and anguish. God, in his infinite wisdom and love, chose Moses to be the bearer of this divine message. He had heard their cries. He knew their pain. Every tear shed, every cry for help did not go unnoticed. The cries of the Israelites resonated deeply within the heart of God, stirring him to action. God is not distant or indifferent to our struggles. He sees our pain, hears our cries, and feels our anguish. His empathy is not passive, it is active and transformative. He is intimately aware of every hardship we face, and his heart aches with ours and cares about our suffering. His compassion is boundless, extending to every corner of our lives. He is a God who walks with us through the valleys of despair, offering comfort and hope. God's heart is moved by our pain. He is not a distant deity, but a loving Father who is deeply affected by the suffering of his children. His empathy compels him to act, to intervene, and to bring relief. He is a God of compassion and mercy. His mercy is not just a feeling, but a powerful force that drives him to rescue and restore. His compassion is a testament to his unwavering love for humanity. He promises to deliver us from our suffering. This promise is a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter how deep our pain, there is a divine plan for our deliverance. God's promise is not just for the Israelites, but for all who suffer, and bring us into a place of freedom and abundance. This place is not just a physical location, but a state of being where we are free from the chains of suffering and filled with the abundance of his blessings. God's empathy for our suffering is a powerful reminder of his everlasting love and commitment to our well-being. God called Moses to a mighty task. He was to go to Pharaoh and demand the release of the Israelites. Moses, the shepherd, was chosen to be a deliverer. He was to lead God's people out of slavery and into the promised land. God equips those he calls. He doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. God saw Moses' heart. He knew his potential. He transformed him from a shepherd into a leader. Open eyes, open hearts, recognizing God's invitations. Moses' encounter with God teaches us valuable lessons. We need to be attentive to God's presence. He is always at work in our lives. We must be willing to turn aside, to explore the unusual, and to follow God's leading. We must approach God with reverence and humility. He is holy, and his presence should inspire awe and wonder. When we recognize God's presence in our lives, we position ourselves to experience his blessings and fulfill his purposes. A prayer for guidance and strength. Dear God, open our eyes to see your presence in our lives. Give us the courage to turn aside from the ordinary and explore the extraordinary. Help us to be attentive to your voice, to recognize your holy ground, and to respond to your call with willing hearts. Fill us with your strength and guidance as we seek to follow you and fulfill your purposes in our lives. Amen.